Hello there, and today I'm doing a new style of video called Cartoon Memories, and this is gonna be like kind of a retrospect of what cartoons I grew up with. And today's topic is gonna be on the Cartoon Network CD era, which is considered by many the best era of Cartoon Network during that time. Personally, this is one of my favorite eras of Cartoon Network during the time because of the sheer amount of shows and variety that the channel had. If you didn't grow up with this era of Cartoon Network, essentially, like on the schedule itself, every 30 minutes was essentially a different cartoon, essentially. And even though they show reruns of the same cartoon sometimes, they'll play differently out of order. And every 30 minutes, essentially, was every different cartoon stuff. I guess you can say that they had this many this many cartoons because due to the amount of programming blocks during this time. And I'm going to be talking about the cartoons that I personally like and dislike from this era, because there are some good and bad cartoons during this time. My personal favorite cartoon of this era was, of course, Kids Next Door, one of my favorite cartoons from this time. And Kids Next Door is were really excelling during this time because they're doing their later seasons, and the theme songs like that. And he had the ending theme was my favorite. It's like Kids Next Door, Kids Next Door, like kind of like that. It's kind of my favorite and stuff. Another cartoon that I really liked during this time was Teen Titans, at least the original, with my favorite character being Cyborg, of course. And this is not because Cyborg's black, but compared to the other Titans, he was the most dynamic in character. I mean, the same can you say for Robin, which is my second favorite character on the show. I guess it's kind of like a tie between Robin and Cyborg as my favorite characters on the show. Many people had crushes on Raven. YouTubers and stuff. It's funny. You know, Starfire's crush on Robin, and Beast Boy being the comedy relief character. Yep. I mean, I don't know if we got Teen Titans Go later on, but I'm not a big fan of Teen Titans Go, but I can understand why people like it. Like the type of comedy, the comedy version of Teen Titans probably would have worked if they were more smarter with the humor in Teen Titans Go. I mean, my sister loves Teen Titans Go for some reason. I don't know why, but she loves it. Oh boy. If there's one cartoon that I personally never liked, even as a kid, was by Japan as a Monkey. Well, it was. I mean, the show, the premise was creative, and Charles Darwin made a school and stuff. They named the school after Charles Darwin and stuff. But the main problem I have for the show has to be with Jake and Adam's friendship, even if you can call it that. Jake was just too annoying of a character, to be honest. It's not like annoying in a funny way, like with Beast Boy and Teen Titans. He was just annoying and like it was like remember that episode of regular show where Rigby was taunting Mordecai in the Solids episode? It's kind of like that, but all the time for the entirety of the show, and I never liked that. It's like you feel like he was being annoying purposely to torment Adam, and it felt right. Even as a kid, I could saw that. Because during this time, I was like, let's say 8 or 9 years old, or 8 to 9, or 8 to 10 years old, and I was starting to develop my taste for cartoons. And this show was essentially always all on all the time, especially around during the invaded stuff, like Cartoon Network Invasion. During the last haul for the Cartoon Network CD, it was like on a lot of time. It was essentially what Johnny Test was, and what Teen Titans Go is today. A cartoon that was just always on no matter what. I mean, if you like the cartoon, man, I don't have a problem if you like the cartoon, but I personally never liked it, even back then. And of course, Tsunami was still a regular programming block, but this time it was only relegated to Saturday nights due to Muguzi and stuff. And it was kind of crazy during this time because people were going as far as to claim that Cartoon Network died in 2004 because Muguzi replaced Tsunami on weekdays, which I believe is kind of silly To be to be honest, with that, I mean, Tsunami was still kind of a cool block, and I believe this is like the coolest Tom has ever been, like the Tom 3 era. And as you can see in this picture here, this is Tom 3, the third version of Tom, which I believe was the coolest of all of them. I mean, the Tom 2 was also very cool. That's the most I ever watched Tsunami and stuff. But Tom 3 was just as cool as that one. And the shows were epic at this time, especially the bumpers the bumpers and commercials for Tsunami. One of my other favorite shows is Camp Lazlo. This is a very funny show, very silly and funny show. That there's any show that comes close to being as silly as Camp Lazlo will probably be Adventure Time. But Camp Lazlo was more silly and lighthearted in that show. While Adventure Time will mostly focus on like the story elements during the later seasons. My personal favorite character from Camp Lazlo has to be Grandmaster Lumpus, the Moose character. He just always made me laugh every time I watch Camp Lazlo. You know it. Lazlo himself and Eduardo and Clam. No one could tell what kind of animal Clam was. I always thought Clam was kind of like a dinosaur. If he's like a dinosaur character or a rhino character, I'm not sure. But the running joke of the show was trying to tell which type of animal Clam was, and that was always funny as well. I like Muguzi as well. I mean, people like many Toonami faithful or Toonami fans usually hated this block mostly because it replaced Toonami on weekdays. But I still personally like the block as well as like a action more family friendly action cartoon block. I mean, is action cartoons too much to ask for these days? Well, well, I still like Muguzi anyways. I mean, it wasn't as great as Toonami, wasn't as epic as Tsunami, but as a Pokemon block by itself, it was still kind of great. Especially since literally there's no action cartoons anymore on Cartoon Network, which is kind of sad. Add more variety to the channel and stuff. And who could forget Foster's? Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Very creative, very funny show. It was very promoted during this time. Yeah, I guess it was getting a lot of ratings during this time because it was often promoted a lot. Because the show was actually very great. It was created by Craig McCracken. Very OG of the cartoon comes to cartoon animators. Yep. They have the characters like Eduardo, Will, Coco, Mac, and Blue. I mean, the show was just great. Well, this other thing I didn't like about the show. I mean, the very best thing about the show has to be with the side characters, mostly, with the other imaginary friend characters, the one I just mentioned. But the problem that I had with the show, the elephant in the room, has to be the relationship between Mac and Blue and themselves. I've never understood their friendship at all. I mean, most of the time they mostly just hated each other. And what pissed me off about this was that they were vowed as one of the bestest friends on the channel, even though if you actually watch the show, they mostly never liked each other at all. That's most of the plot of the show. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that, Mac created Blue while he was only 3, and now since Blue is 5 years old and Mac is 8, he created Blue when he was just 3 years old. Very tough times like that, which is kind of a shame, because I mean they could be like very good friends if the wasn't for that, but I'm not sure. You know, there's many other shows like Haha Puffy Up Yumi, Robot Boy, Squirrel Boy. Um, there's shows on Tsunami like Naruto and Gundam and stuff. And then Muguzi with Teen Titans and Code Lyoko and stuff. I remember Code Lyoko was being a very good cartoon as well. I mean, I don't like Robot Boy either because I really don't like Robot Boy. I didn't really like that show that much. And the only problem I have with Robot Boy personally was Robot Boy himself, because He didn't really have that much of a character. His character will speak in the third person, which inside made sense for like characters like Krang from the 2012 Ninja Turtles, which they speak in third person. But the only difference is that Krang was aliens from outer space, and they'll constantly be made fun of by by Leonardo. Leonardo will make fun of them for doing so. While in Robot Boy is made by human scientists. I mean, with a genius like that, you think he will call someone like English into his vocabulary, or at least Japanese or something like that with subtitles. I mean, since they were going for the whole anime thing, you know, they'll add subtitles and have them speak Japanese, but nope. And Ed and Eddie was still going strong during this time. I think Ed and Eddie changed to digital, and the spirit of the show was still there, despite moving to digital. It was still funny and all. I remember the Grand Adventures of Billy Mandy was going more the comedic style and stuff compared to the more horror first seasons. They're going for more comedic stuff. I mean, if there's any cartoon that should have a spin-off, it should be Grand Adventures of Billy Mandy and Conan Kiss Next Door with Glad the Kiss Next Door and Underfist. Does many people do anyone knows anything about Underfist? You know, the spin-off to Billy Mandy? If you know, let me know in the comments section if you remember that. There was also Cartoon Fridays that was just a more added up version of Cartoon Fridays. And there's so many program blocks during this time. There was Cartoon Fridays, you know, Cartoon Theater, Muguzi, Tsunami, and Adult Swim. So that's 5 programming blocks throughout the entire week. So they had tons of variety during this time. That's why he's usually often regarded as like the best era of Cartoon Network. Is probably due to the quality of the cartoons and the sheer amount of variety. I mean, there were cartoons that weren't as great because, I mean, if there's anything I don't like is when people claim that what they grew up is completely flawless, even though there were cartoons that sucked back then. You know, the aforementioned the Japardas of Monkey and Robot Boy and stuff. Yeah, but I still like this era very much and stuff. You know, holds dear to my heart and stuff. And you like, comment, subscribe if you like this video.